There we go. Well, first and foremost, thank you all for having us here, to the council, to the mayor, to the residents, for having us here. Myself and Representative Rizo, wanted to come and just give you an update as to what occurred, certainly this past legislative session, which was a historic session, especially in terms of funding and the budget. And so, we wanted to make sure that we communicated to the council, to the mayor, and certainly to our residents, the work that we did in Tallahassee.
Please, you're doing so well.
So this past session, we passed a budget that was over $116 billion. And it's a historic budget, as I mentioned before, certainly the largest budget to date. Now, it shouldn't come to that much of a surprise because we've seen a lot of population growth in the state of Florida. Certainly, we've seen a lot of revenues come into the state. On a daily basis, we have anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 residents from other states that are moving to the state of Florida. That's each and every day. So obviously, with that migration to the great state of Florida, certainly comes along with it a lot of capital, and certainly a lot of revenue is generated from the economic activity that these individuals coming to live here, certainly coming to start a business, or coming here to certainly make sure that they are doing the best that they can for their families. They're certainly along with the residents of the state of Florida, they're adding to just a great economic prosperity that we've enjoyed certainly for some time. So with the budget, there was historic K through 12 funding, which was $26.8 billion, which is a record for the state of Florida. That's the most that we've seen, certainly in our time, and certainly in the state of Florida's history. And that equates to, per student, also a record high of $8,648,000 per student, which is, again, another record for the state of Florida. You also saw a record tax relief package or tax cut package totaling $2.7 billion. In my time, and certainly in Representative Rizzo's time in the Florida legislature, this is by far the biggest tax cut and tax relief that has been provided to the residents of the great state of Florida. And, with that, there were certainly other achievements here. There was $635 million, which is for workforce education funding. Again, that's another record in order to certainly train up our workforce to make sure that we continue that economic trajectory and making sure that our economy is one of the strongest in the world. For those that might not know, the state of Florida right now, if it were a country, it would be the 15th largest economy in the world.
That's amazing.
Our GDP is over $1 trillion. So it is clearly one of the biggest economies in the world, certainly in the United States, and it's only going to continue to grow. We also had a record workforce and affordable housing. Certainly, we know that in our community, housing and the cost of living has gone up significantly. And in large part, certainly that comes along with a lot of residents from other states moving to our area. And, it's increased certainly the cost of living. So through our work and certainly the governor's leadership, there was record funding going towards affordable housing, which totaled $711 million. And again, that's a record for the state of Florida. We also made sure to have $4 billion in our budget for moving Florida forward. So those are essentially economic tools to continue the momentum that we've enjoyed and that we continue to see in terms of the prosperity that is, taking hold in our state. On the environmental front, we invested $1.6 billion into the Everglades restoration effort, as well as water quality. Again, for us in our community, water is immensely important, as well as, having the Everglades and protecting the Everglades, which is a very unique environment and a very unique set of habitats. And, that's what makes our community so special, that we have the Everglades as well as Biscayne Bay, which is the largest estuary in the state. So we put a lot of funding into making sure that those two entities, as well as water quality within our community, is the best that it can possibly be. And lastly, just wanted to touch on a historic number, certainly for new and veteran teachers. We invested $1.1 billion in raises for new and veteran teachers and instructional personnel. Again, reaffirming our commitment to education, making sure that we are certainly prioritizing our teachers. They really are, and Representative Rizo can certainly speak to this, as well as myself being in the classroom. I know some of y'all are educators as well. There is absolutely, nothing that can quantify the effect that a teacher has for our families. So we wanted to make sure that we did our best to make sure to ensure that we appreciate, or that the teachers know how much we appreciate their effort throughout the entire school year and their impact on our families. So we invested $1.1 billion into that initiative. And lastly, we also invested $191 million in cancer research and care. We're certainly seeing an uptick in terms of cancer, with our residents, not just here in our community, but throughout the entire state. And we wanted to make sure we took a proactive approach to really help those individuals that are going through the treatment, as well as their families. So all in all, this was, again, a very historic session. Certainly, Representative Rizo and myself, I'll let him speak to this. We fought tooth and nail for all the resources for our areas, our municipalities, including Miami Springs. And I'll let him, touch on that.
Thank you, Senator. So thank you everyone for having us here. And once again, it's an honor to represent Miami Springs and its surrounding areas. The senator was quite right, and I think actually was very low key on what kind of a year it was, especially for education. It was an historic year. This is the greatest increase for public education ever in the state of Florida, ever. I started teaching in 1995 in a public school, and I could tell you that a 2%, a 3% increase was something significant that would come out to basically $150, $200. This was everyone was a little different, but basically it's over $500-600 per student. That equates in Miami-Dade to about $1 billion. We are the third largest school district in America. And so you can imagine. Now, with that, we also were able to, through the leadership of Senator Avila and me just doing a little bit of lifting in the House, we were able to change the formula, the way that public schools are funded. And basically, at the end of the day, all 67 superintendents signed off that they were totally satisfied with the way that this new funding structure benefits everyone. There was a winner. There was not one single district in Florida that lost. Every single one came out significantly impacted better. And also the way that the rules were changed. In Miami-Dade, you know that we've had a great influx of students that come from other countries. As of 2-3 months ago, it was about 30,000 students that had come in new in the last 2 years to our public schools here in the county. And that brought great cost. We were able to, and again, working on both sides of the campus up there, we were able to help change that so that those categorical funds that only go to that were basically, the limits were taken off. Okay. So it was a win-win all around. It was a win for choice. It was a win for public schools. It was a win for teachers. Once again, it's a significant increase. We also were able to do something, and anyone who's a public school teacher or has heard of this, we've dealt with the compression issue as well. A few years ago, when we brought up, when the governor and then Speaker Oliva and Speaker Corcoran, when they had brought up the beginning teacher salaries, the teachers that were at the upper end of the scale were compressed. There wasn't really an increase for them, and districts basically were left alone to kind of figure it out. We were able to do something where now we will see that compression kind of diminish and go away. And the governor specifically wanted, and the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate both put in $800 million to go directly to teacher supplements, to teacher pay. Okay, that goes above and beyond the $2 billion that was put into the K through 12 funding. Some other points, like Senator said, cancer research. We were very proud to carry a $2 million appropriation for the University of Miami that goes to cancer research, specifically to first responders, specifically to our firefighters, that we see have a very high correlation of cancer as they move forward in their careers. And so we were very proud to do that. We were very proud to bring back almost $1 million for elderly meals that go directly to Miami Springs and Virginia Gardens here at the recreation center. We hopefully we will get invited to the ribbon cutting, or the groundbreaking for the War Memorial here in Miami Springs that we were very proud to carry. There were a few projects that didn't make it. We're going to revisit those. We're going to come back. Canal stabilization is one of them. But one of the other things that I want you to know is that in the surrounding areas of Miami, of Hialeah, Virginia Gardens, and especially on the other side of the airport, we have a lot of different projects that went in and were approved for drainage, for road improvement. So even though it may not be right here in the city of Miami Springs, its impact will be felt all around us. And so that was something that actually Senator Avila and I are it's humbling, because we actually, when the governor comes out with his veto pen, we weren't at the top of the list for the vetoes. We were actually down quite low. And so, it's nothing to, you don't sit on your laurels. You always want to do better. We pledge ourselves to do better. We work very, very closely together, and we protect our district and we defend it. You would say, like we do our children. And so with that, again, it's humbling to sit here and to stand here before you all, to thank you, to tell you about what kind of a session that we had. We anticipate we will have another historic session coming up next year. I would imagine that our budget probably will continue, as the senator said, to reflect the growth that we've had. We have a lot of things that we're going to look at. We're still continuing to tackle the property insurance monster that we have. And it's taken about 30 years to get here, and it's going to take a little while to kind of stabilize things, but we've started to put things in place to stabilize those things. We did something that I don't think any legislature has ever done, and that is tort reform. That is meaningful tort reform. And I think we'll start seeing some of those things. When it came to the tax package, again, the largest tax package that puts money back in the pockets of citizens. Some things have been made permanent. Some baby items, for example, newborn items have been placed permanently on a tax-free status. We have tax-free holidays. We have 2 different summer holidays. We had the one starting at the beginning of the hurricane season, but we also have, for example, for pets, we have a tax-free holiday there as well. So there's a lot of things that we've done, a lot of things that we continue to work on. We shall do that. We obviously need input from everyone on a very local level. All politics is local. And so, please take advantage that we are there to serve everyone here, everyone in the city, proudly and humbly. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I would just like to also add, I've had the pleasure of working with Representative Rizo, as well as with, now Commissioner of Education Manny Diaz Jr., who was our state senator. And I've really enjoyed working with them because, I mean, we're all aligned in terms of our goals, right? We want to make sure that we bring back as much as possible back to our area, right? We certainly, our residents certainly give and contribute certainly to to the state of Florida. So we want to make sure that some of those dollars are actually the majority of those dollars are coming back to our area. And so, just to certainly quantify the work that we've done, again, myself, Representative Rizo, now Commissioner of Education, Manny Diaz Jr., over a 9-year span, the city of Miami Springs has received over $9.5 million in state funding.
That's amazing.
So, some of the highlights and for the residents, some of the highlights of where that funding has gone and what, those dollars are dedicated to. Some of those highlights certainly include our senior meals for the elderly. But also we have Royal Poinciana, right? Which I believe right now you're seeing work
Under construction.
You also will see South Drive be completely, just redone completely. East Drive is another one. You also have funding for the senior center itself for the construction of it. That was about $1 million or close to it. So you also have the first phase of the erosion control and the stabilization of drainage canals, which are certainly important for those property owners that are along those banks, and making sure that that entire area is safe and making sure that the water is certainly up to quality standards. So that's where those dollars have gone. I think I'm safe to say that myself and Representative Rizo will continue to certainly advocate for our community and for the residents of Miami Springs and for the council and the mayor to make sure that we continue to bring back that funding that is so critical for our community. Again, $9.5 million over a 9-year span. I can certainly tell you, and I think Representative Rizo would agree, there are not a lot of communities, especially of this size, that receive anywhere near that amount. If anything, over a decade span, a community of this size in other parts of the state would probably receive maybe 2 million or less. So for this community in a 9-year span to receive over $9.5 million is absolutely historic. And it's certainly a testament to working with you, the council and the mayor, us knowing what your vision is, and us making sure that we deliver for the residents and making sure that the quality of life in Miami Springs continues to be high. So just wanted to thank all of you and wanted to make sure that the residents knew what those dollars actually meant and what you're going to be seeing this year and next year in terms of those projects with regards to state funding.
Thank you so much.
Senator and Representative, I just wanted to add to that I know in the time that I've been on the council, your accessibility, you're working for us. I don't think residents realize how hard you work for us up in Tallahassee. It's, there are all these senators and congressmen up there, and each of them want a part of the pie for their communities. And what you said is true. Our community, I know last year when the governor vetoed a lot of items, some municipalities got nothing after the governor's veto pen. And we have our 3 projects that, major projects for flood control on East Drive and road improvements on South Royal Poinciana and Oakwood. So it was amazing that we got so many things that not just that you worked hard to get there, but your representation of our community ensured that the governor didn't veto them and that we got them. And we're very, very grateful. And I want the residents to know how hard Senator Avila and Representative Rizo work for us up in Tallahassee, but also to know that when they're saying to reach out to them, they really are genuinely sincere. I know I reach out to them a lot to discuss needs that we have for our community, find out ways, perhaps it's not within their purview, but just to get their guidance on certain things. And they're just a wealth of knowledge and caring for our community. And we greatly appreciate that. So thank you. And Councilman.
Yes. So, and I just wanted to add to that because, and Representative Rizzo is right. The adage is that all politics are local, but strikes me that you guys are working locally. You're thinking and working locally and globally at the same time. You go up there, and it's not easy to find consensus and to find common ground and to get people to compromise and to get things done. And numerous things that you guys talked about benefit everybody in the entire state of Florida. Like these are huge accomplishments that you guys play a large role in doing, while at the same time being fiercely advocating for us locally. You are one of us that go up there and you advocate for us in terms of appropriations and fight for us. And we're very, very proud of your service and thank you to both of you.
I'm very grateful. And for the work that you're doing with the environment with the Biscayne Bay, which is just critical. I mean, Biscayne Bay is our lifeline for the whole South Florida community. So thank you so much.
Through the chair.
So, yes, sir.
Yes. First of all, thank you, gentlemen, for the work that you do on behalf of us. We are proud of the work you guys do. As you know, I'm not only a sitting councilman voted in by the voters of Miami Springs, but I'm also a veteran. And I also wear a hat as the president of the Miami Springs War Memorial that we've been working on with our former councilman, Bob Best, sitting back there. And when we got the news about the appropriation, we were ecstatic because it put us over the top in terms of accomplishing this project. So there may be a groundbreaking on Veterans Day. Thanks to you gentlemen. And I'm also humble and honored that and pleased that the city of Miami Springs celebrates its veterans. Our Veterans Day and Memorial Day events are excellent. The turnout is wonderful. The support of the city for the event, the staff, and the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts, a reminder to us of who we are. And it's good to see the Scouts out because they're going to be adults and they're going to carry this on. And so I want to take a moment to give you each a brochure on the memorial. If you want to get a brick and,
We'll go and take
honor
a photo.
someone for them.
them.
Yes. Yes. And so the plan is right now is to finalize the design of the monument. As you know, it's a refurbishment, so we're not tearing down. We're going to build out from there. And also, we're going to expand a little bit on it because the brick sales have been great, and we can buy a bench. You can get a bench, and other organizations like the like the Lions Club and others that have been so great in supporting this effort. So we hope to get that design done soon, so that hopefully on Veterans Day we have a groundbreaking ceremony. We can move. And the designer will tell us this when we meet. We may actually have a ribbon cutting ceremony on Memorial Day 2024. So thank you again for your efforts. The veterans in this community, thank you. And I know the community at large is going to thank you when we finally complete this project. Thank you very much.
Chair. I just wanted to, for the record, say thank you to Senator Avila and Representative Rizo. I feel very proud that you represent Miami Springs. I feel very confident as a councilwoman to, help support our community. And I really just feel that your loyalty has shown throughout and it hasn't changed and it just gets better. So thank you for bringing back the money to our community, but also just an overall, your diligence has been exceptional. And I really look forward to continuing to work with you and seeing what your future holds, because you both as public servants have been outstanding. And I think it's very rare that you have people that come into public service and the mission stays clear and north. So just thank you for your service. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Well, I might as well be the last one to say something.
okay.
Why not?
Go ahead.
I'm the newbie here, but I'll be honest, obviously, when I've been the other side of the day, is I've taken stuff for granted that what you guys do. And, you think that as a resident, you're like, state just throwing money everywhere and easily everybody's getting it, right? But the truth is, now being on this side, it's not the truth. It's hard. And we are fortunate to get the money that we get from you guys and the effort that you guys are doing up there in Tallahassee. So I appreciate it.
Definitely, for Senator Avila and Representative Rizo, I can tell you that their constituents are their number one priority. And as Councilwoman said, we're very, very lucky to have them representing us, because that is their priority, to do the best for their constituents. Thank you.
And Senator Avila is our neighbor. Nothing, Alex, nothing.
Senator,
against
we're
you.
very lucky.
You're always
Senator
welcome to
Avila
move into
is
Miami Springs.
Miami Springs resident, and Representative Rizo is going to be a Miami Springs resident one day. He told me, he promised me.
I'm a proud Golden Hawk and also a proud resident of the city of Miami Springs.